Little jump scare there to keep you on your toes? Okay, review time. And it's not about period drama. In keeping with the spooky season, we'll be reviewing a horror, 2013's The Conjuring, directed by James Wan. The Conjuring tells a fictionalized account of Ed and Lorraine Warren investigating the parent household that's becoming plagued by paranormal activity. Developed from a treatment by Tony DeRuza-Grund, The Conjuring languished in development hell for over a decade before finally being picked up by New Line Cinema. If you enjoyed Insidious, Paranormal Activity, and the others, you'll enjoy this flick. Oh, and scares ahead. What's interesting about this film is its basis in real life. Ed and Lorraine Warren were real paranormal investigators who took on various cases throughout their careers, and really did investigate a supposedly haunted house on Rhode Island in 1971. In 1971, the Perrin family, parents and 5 daughters, move into a farmhouse on Rhode Island. Immediately, there are problems. The family dog won't go inside, the clocks keep stopping at 3:07 a.m., and the basement is boarded up, all coming to a head when Mother Carolyn and daughter Christine are both attacked by malevolent spirits. Carolyn attends a lecture on exorcism by the Warrens and pleads for their help, and the Warrens agree, and immediately Lorraine, an empathic clairvoyant, senses a dark presence. They set up equipment to document any activity, and research reveals the farmhouse belonged to a satanic witch, Bathsheba Sherman, who took her own life after getting caught attempting to sacrifice her newborn baby. Bathsheba cursed anybody that took her land, and over the next century convinced many tenants to kill their own children. After another encounter with violent spirits, levitation and telekinesis included, the parents take refuge at a motel. However, unbeknownst to anybody, Carolyn is possessed by Bathsheba and kidnaps her 2 younger daughters to sacrifice them. Far away, Bathsheba's spirit attacks the Warrens' daughter at the same time, to ward the Warrens away. Regardless, they return and intercept Carolyn just before she attacks her own daughter. They attempt an exorcism, but Carolyn escapes, nearly killing her younger daughter April, before Lorraine uses her telepathic abilities to remind her of a happy memory, as Ed condemns Bathsheba back to hell. Afterwards, the Warrens take a haunted artifact from the house and store it in their paranormal museum right next to the infamous Annabelle doll. I'll be the first to admit horror gets to me, and I went into this film blind, emerging with the fear of every shadowy corner of my flat. The cast makes this film, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga portraying the Warrens as religious but compassionate and professional, genuinely concerned for the Perrin family. This is far from the dismissive attitude that papers and observers have consistently had for the Warrens in real life. The Perrin family are grounded too, a realistic portrayal of a family life that just happens to be interrupted by paranormal activity. Lily Taylor wonderfully portrays a troubled Carolyn Perrin, while cameos from young Joey King and Mackenzie Foy round out the cast, realistically terrified of the events. Joseph Bashara as the evil Bathsheba completes the ensemble, whose mere presence alone is enough to terrify the most steeliest of audiences. But the film arguably doesn't break any new ground in terms of its approach to horror. The Conjuring succeeds to how serious it takes subject matter. So many horror films use shoddy effects or humour to bring levity to the scares. Instead, director James Wan carefully weaves the scare so when they land hard, and they're never at the expense of the plot. They drive the plot along. The Conjuring also appeals to believers and skeptics of the occult alike. The horrors on screen are not entirely unbelievable, thanks to a dedicated use of practical effects, Steadicam footage, and withholding things from the audience's view. Frequent Wan collaborator John R. Leonetti and his cinematography often emphasise the ugly gothic nature of the farmhouse that stops nicely before straying into Tim Burton's over-the-top territory. And by the time the Exorcist-esque scene sequence of Carolyn's possession comes around, it feels earned. Ultimately, if you come to this film to get your heart racing and want a nuanced story at the same time, you won't be disappointed. Wan delivers a refined horror that delights with carefully crafted scares, and besides Insidious, deservedly relaunched his career after a few professional setbacks. It marks a turning point in the horror genre, proving that a successful shared universe is possible. Sorry, Dark Universe. As shown by consistent box office returns on films such as 2 sequels, the Annabelle series, and further spin-offs. Now, before we finish, send us your top picks for the scariest moments in cinema history, and we'll see how they fare on a top 10 ranking.